Welcome to the deep dive. Go. Picture this. It's 2077. We're meeting Elias. He's 80, the last beekeeper, and he's inside this sterile biosphere, like a little ark.
A very quiet ark.
Exactly. Just him and one single old queen bee. He's tending her, but outside. Silence. He still remembers the sound, the hum the world used to have.
And that silence, that's really what we're digging into today. Our sources, they track this incredibly slow ecological collapse. The tragedy is it was mistaken for progress, for technological success.
Right. So our mission here is to follow those threads. How did warnings about, say, the insect apocalypse back in the 2030s, how did that lead step by step to massive famine? What specific things broke down?
It's fascinating and quite disturbing. Those warnings, Elias remembers, they were brushed off. City folk hysterics. That's what the sources say people called it.
Hysterics. So instead of listening, what did they do? Because clearly the warnings didn't prompt a big structural shift.
No, quite the opposite in a way. The response was adaptation, but a specific kind. Huge investment poured into high-tech solutions. Think automated pollination drones, genetically modified crops, engineered not to need natural pollinator.
Oh, okay. So they essentially engineered around the problem rather than addressing the root cause.
Precisely. And because, agricultural output stayed high for a while, maybe even increased with these new GM crops, it looked like progress. It masked the underlying ecosystem collapse that was already accelerating.
It created a structural blind spot. You're seeing numbers go up, crop yields, tech investments, so it feels like growth.
Yeah.
The sources call this the human pressure escalation, right? Where the pressure just keeps increasing, disguised as success.
Exactly that. A reinforcing loop of pressure, hidden by apparent technological success. But that adaptation, well, it was built on sand. The real tipping point wasn't even the pollinators directly. It came later, late 2040s. They called it the Great Soil Blight.
The soil. It seems so fundamental, almost too obvious to overlook. What happened there?
It's where the whole illusion shattered. You see, losing the insects wasn't just about pollination. It was about the whole web of life, especially underground. The near total loss of microbial biodiversity just sterilized the soil.
So the resilience was gone. The dirt literally became, what, just dust? Inert?
Inert, completely. It couldn't hold water, couldn't provide nutrients. All those high-tech crops they'd engineered, they needed living soil. Suddenly, they failed. Everywhere, all at once.
And that's when the limits to growth wasn't a theory anymore.
Not at all. It was famine on a global scale because, as the source material bluntly puts it, the drones couldn't pollinate dirt. Technology hit a hard physical limit.
So the reaction must have been frantic then, when the food stopped.
Oh, absolutely. Panic. Suddenly, trillions were thrown at conservation, at habitat restoration. This desperate conservation response loop kicked in, but...
It was too late. Way too late. You can't just add water or money and expect a complex living system you've destroyed to spring back overnight. The foundational pieces, they were gone.
The delays were fatal. Which brings us back to Elias. This old man in his biosphere, painstakingly hand-pollinating a few, pathetic blossoms, as the source describes them, with a tiny brush.
He's like this single, frail counterforce, a balancing loop against the memory, the ghost of that massive, destructive reinforcing spiral.
Yeah, a curator of memory, as you said. And there's this moment an archivist visits him, young, probably doesn't grasp the history, asks him if his work tending this one bee isn't kind of pointless.
And his answer is just devastating. What does he say again?
He says, I do it so that one person, at least, remembers what we lost. Then he adds, I do it because this is the sound of our success.
Oof, the sound of silence is success. That hits hard.
It really does. The core insight there, it wasn't really about malice or intentional destruction. It was what the sources call a profound failure of imagination. They just couldn't feel or value what they took for granted, the soil, the microbes, the intricate web, until it was utterly gone.
They adapted to the symptom-losing bees and completely missed the catastrophic failure of the whole foundation beneath their feet.
Exactly. They solved the wrong problem brilliantly.
Which I suppose leaves a pretty stark question for us, for you listening. What are the invisible threads we rely on now? Things maybe like, deep ocean currents, microbial health in our soil, maybe even something less tangible like basic social trust.
Things that, if they frayed and snapped, could make all our current technologies, all our sophisticated solutions, suddenly and completely meaningless.
Yeah. What's the hum we're not hearing anymore, or maybe choosing to ignore? That's something to think about.